Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Option 2. And I really did not like this episode. Now granted, even though it was in one place, it was pertaining to one kind of scenario going on, it felt disjointed, and I don't know what's going on lately, but when I'm watching it, it feels that it's too dark. I don't know if it's the TV that I'm watching it on, but it feels like there's an oversaturation of darkness in certain scenes. Now, granted, it had to work in that way for what was going on in this episode, but it had also been affecting previous episodes I've been watching. I'm just like, okay, what's going on? But I just felt that the whole premise, which even though the whole premise of the episode I would have liked, the execution was just, it led to one after another of like, why were these decisions made? And it started off really when they're pretty much trying to wrap their heads around what happened and everybody's pretty much fighting. Now granted, I don't mind conflict and drama between characters, but when characters are acting stupid mainly for plot reasons instead of character reasons, and are, in fact, severely contradicting themselves with actions that happen right after a scene, it kind of is just, why? So we get the group together and we're seeing everybody's just pretty much fighting with each other. Yo-Yo's pretty much going like, I saved the world! And I'm like, there are certain conditions that you probably would have seen at this point that would have completely showed you that was right or that you were right or wrong. Of course, Daisy is grilling on her that you didn't have to kill Ruby and all that kind of jazz, and Yo-Yo's pretty much putting it on her, being like, you're just pissed off because I didn't follow your orders. Of course, Great Daddy Coulson laid down the law and said, that's it, everybody stop being assholes, go do your jobs. And of course, Daisy decided to volunteer herself to put Robin and her mother back into hiding. She, of course, meets with May to pretty much say, well, they were taking them to Candyman, the one that we had seen previously with Mac, and she's going to head up a lead and go dark afterwards to try and save Coulson. And immediately pretty much doing away with any moral authority she had to being pissed off at Yo-Yo. Because Yo-Yo thought that she had the authority to act on herself to kill Ruby. Granted, right or wrong, whatever. Daisy then commits the same thing, saying that she knows the moral right and the moral imperative to go and save Coulson like this. Even though Coulson has repeatedly said, I know I am dying, and I'm going to let it. Now granted, I like Coulson as a character, and the way they're doing it is more kind of like, what? But still, she's putting what she wants and what she thinks is right above the chain of command. You can't become a leader and just say, I'm going, do as I say, not as I do, disregard any orders except my orders. I'm like, really? It's just irksome to have that happen. But of course, Daisy gets out. We see that Talbot has decided to try and call for Coulson to let him know that he wants to help and that why was he messing around with the hangar mate? I know I could have just gotten out myself. He had sent a signal, and that's when Quobos' ship is overhead. Also around this time, we get some check-ins with Fitz and Simmons and Yo-Yo and Mac. Fitz and Simmons was interesting because it delved more into their different ideologies on what's going on with Deke's character. He says, well, if we go with the multiverse theory, I can just stay here. But of course, Fitz then goes along the line, unless this is a closed loop, and the only way to break that loop is for you to disappear from this entirely. It was interesting, but then again, I've gotten so tired of the red herrings and this time travel storyline that has been dragged out and just beaten to, this is the red herring, this is the red herring, that I don't care. I usually like these concepts and I'm intrigued by the multiverse, the infinite number of universes that are out there, and also like causality loops and all that. But the only reason I like it and want it to stay is because the only character I'm not irritated with and or pissed off about is Deke. Deke is good. I love him just trying to figure out what's going on and trying to protect his grandpa so that way he can live. That's good. I move along. It's good. Then we get to Yo-Yo and Max, which was another good aspect, delving into their relationship, and granted, I like Max's character, but I really have to agree with him that Yo-Yo is just going crazy nuts. I mean, like, I can't be killed, and I've got to save the world kind of things, and I did it to protect you, but into protecting him, you're kind of pushing him away from you. And she can't understand that or recognize that from the fact of all these steps that she's taking, saying that the ends justify the means, essentially. So, that was interesting. I wish it had flowed better. A lot of this stuff in this episode needed to kind of flow better. So, of course, we get the Quobos ship going over, and we get a funny part, and they're like, oh crap. Quobos, of course, is like, give us the gravitonium. Coulson's like, how about no, you crazy Dutch bastard? And then, that's pretty much, boom. And then, okay. And then, of course, the automated portion of the lighthouse is like, okay, there's some bad stuff going on. Please look at this terminal and tell us what's going on. It's like, is this going on? Is it a nuclear attack? And I'm like, there's got to be a thing for an alien invasion. And I thought Coulson was going to wait for it. He's like, nuclear attack's the best thing. And that's like, alien invasion. And May's like, you always listen to the full menu. I'm like, yes, May. Thank you. And so what that occurs is that the whole shield base is now put on lockdown. And they're going, well, we'll open this, set the timers of like 15 years. And Coulson's like, crap. So that was a good part, and I kind of liked it. And they're like, all right, we got to kind of have to figure out what's going on here. So they kind of do, they reconvene and everything, and we get kind of more information on them. We find out that they are called the Ramorath. Deke gives them this information that they're Marauders, that they're like intergalactic scavengers that really don't have a planet, and they just like take stuff from others, and darkness follows them, and not just in a kind of metaphorical kind of sense. Like, they make it dark because they see in the dark really well, and they've got like claws that are like a foot long, and of course you think that he's kind of bullshitting, but Coulson's like, wait a minute. They gave that thing to Hale. They got those things. They're coming in too. Crap! Everybody, get ready! So of course, Fitz and Simmons are kind of dealing with what's going on in the gravitonium chamber that they've made with all the things that could potentially make someone into like a gravitonium powered being. And they're like, okay, we gotta figure out what to do this. We gotta protect this gravitonium because that's their objective. So everybody kind of split up. Yo-Yo is pretty much sent to get Talbot, and Talbot wants to help, but of course everybody's just freaked out by him. And I feel bad for Talbot in the first kind of portions of the episode, but towards the end of it, I'm just like, I was confused as to where they are taking this character, if they've got any plan at all. So, of course, we get the introduction of the aliens, the Marauders, and I kind of liked it. I wish it had been done better. I don't have a problem with them having these aliens that'll come in with these kind of, I mean, they've got cool kind of outfits. You don't really see it that much because they have to be in the darkness. But I like this alien kind of thing that was going on, especially with like Matt getting ready to like use what was going on. Like, a shotgun axe, this is exactly what I've got this for. And then having him kind of pass it to Coulson to use it was kind of cool. So we got Coulson and Mac and May in kind of the control center. We got Fitz and Simmons that were dealing with the gravitonium, but of course they kind of get split up because they're trying to get a door open and bypass all that stuff. But of course they see that the aliens have taken out that. Talbot is then put in the room with Simmons as Yo-Yo and the rest of the group try and like take out what's going on with the aliens. But we get into this portion and we start seeing a lot of fight scenes that are getting really awesome. The fight scene within the control room was really kind of awesome. And I liked the fire lighting and everything that was going on. Seeing Mac with these kind of two riot batons and May then getting one of them and just kicking wholesale ass with them. And the thing is, they are not completely prepared to deal with these entities, and Talbot is just like, I want to help. So he gets the bright idea to ice Simmons and empower himself with the Gravitonium. I didn't expect that twist. It's an interesting twist. But the thing is, it doesn't feel like it flows. Well, it kind of feels like it flows naturally, but the execution, of course, doesn't exactly grab me. How do I explain it? When I'm talking about execution, the way something is done and the way the progression and how it's like alluded to, foreshadowed, and even kind of like how it's presented doesn't work in a way that I think grabs at least me. Execution is usually the difference between a joke that completely lands, like the whole thing that was going on with Coulson and May and the computer system, and something that just doesn't land right and you're like, I don't find that funny, even though this person's trying to make it funny. I just didn't get the feeling that this was where we were going with Talbot. I didn't think that Talbot would become this major of a player to begin with, because it didn't really seem that way. I just thought it was like, okay, he was messed up with Hydra, he might never be right again, and then kind of just send him off as a good, goofy kind of character. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Elevating him into this role is just like, okay. And it was interesting because he comes out, he takes out one. As the control room's getting a little bit hairy and dicey, he comes in with a very advanced degree of control of the Gravitonium powers that he's now gotten, showing a vast difference between him and Ruby. He just comes in and he's not floating at all. He just uses his hand and crumples them and then takes Coulson up with him through the roof of the room to God knows where. And we're going, okay. But as we've seen in the previews, it looks like they are leaning into making him Gravitron. And I'm okay with this. I just wish that it had seemed like that was the path they were going for. This came out of left field for me, and I'm like, huh? So it is interesting that a crazy, brainwashed, addled person would be the one that would be able to have to deal with the two personalities that are warring within the Gravitonium. So I'm intrigued to see how that plays out. But I think the thing is, we've been hit with so many red herrings with who the destroyer of the world is. I don't believe that this is like, this is the destroyer of the world. We're first like, Daisy is the destroyer of the world. Oh no, it looks like Ruby's going to be the destroyer of the world. Nah, it looks like Talbot's going to be the destroyer of the world. It goes into the same effect that I can only describe as the Glenn death fake-outs on The Walking Dead. This stuff happened so many times before even I'd read the comics and knew what was going to happen. I'm like, he's not going to die here. It just takes the tension out, and you're just kind of like, why is this happening? So hopefully it gets better. We also get another out of left field kind of thing towards the end of the episode where we see that Daisy is talking with Candyman to get more information about what was going on with Cybertech and the whole John Garrett situation, because that's the information that he's obtained. We also kind of got an oblique kind of reference to Avengers Infinity War, I believe, because they're talking about what was going on in New York. But as I was talking with one of my other friends, it seems that there is tension between Kevin Feige and the head of the Marvel TV division, and that they do their own kind of thing. So that's why we haven't seen as many direct interactions between what's going on in the movies and what's going on in the TV shows and vice versa. So I didn't know about that, but that completely makes sense now, which I think has been a detriment to the show. So he shows her the centipede thing, the only last one, but they don't have this special ingredient that the Nazis did, but for the healing component, but she's got an idea of where to get it. And come to find out, she is digging up her mother's grave for it. So I don't know if it's linked to the Kree or the Inhumans, or like her mother's power specifically, but I just saw that out of nowhere and I'm like, what? The seasons felt like it's been trying to do callbacks to certain seasons and certain things, but just in weird ways. I'm just like, okay, I've also read that they have gotten the season finale to the point that it could also be doubled as a series finale, which kind of shocks me, and I'm like, what, they haven't like renewed this yet? What is going on here? This whole season has not been the quality of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that I believe that it has aspired to in past seasons. And I hope that they do get another season to potentially rectify it, because if this was the last season that we got of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I'd be like, wow, talk about not going out on your best. So I hope that my concerns are assuaged and that everything kind of gets a little bit more fine-tuned and streamlined as we're getting to the season finale, and that things kind of gel or make more sense. I don't need everything explained out, but things kind of have to work together to make it work. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.